everyone! We are the Group 2 and we will be discussing about plant cell using our very own 3D miniature of plant cell.
The first part is the cell wall. So the cell wall surrounds the plasma membrane of a plant cell. It provides protection against physical injury or any stress. Nakakatulong din itong cell wall sa pamamagitan ng sense of organization wherein it maintains yung shape ng isang cell. So it also regulates the flow of information between cells. It is mainly made up of cellulose where it allows the wall to stretch for growth. So, nakakatulong ito sa expansion ng cells. The next one is the cell membrane. So, the cell membrane of the plant cell separates the cytoplasm of the cell from the cell wall. Yung cell membrane, kinokontrol nito yung movement of substances papasok at palabas ng isang cell and organelles, being selectively permeable sa ions and organic molecules. So, yung cell membrane, it consists of a lipid bilayer where it comprises ng 2 layers ng phospholipids with cholesterol, na kung saan nakakatulong ito in maintaining appropriate membrane fluidity at various temperatures. So, the membrane also contains membrane proteins, including integral proteins that span the membrane and serve as membrane transporters. It also consists of peripheral proteins that loosely attach to the outer side of the cell membrane, na kung saan it acts as enzymes to facilitate yung interaction sa sa environment ng cell. Lastly, it also consists of glycolipids that is embedded in the outer layer. The next part is the cytoplasm. So, cytoplasm in plant cell are almost similar sa animal cell. So, yung cytoplasm sa plant cell, it aids with suspension of organelle supports of cells internal structure. So, the cytoplasm is the gel-like fluid inside the cell, and it is the medium for chemical reaction. It provides a platform upon which other organelles can operate within the cell. So the main components of the cytoplasm are cytosol or a gel-like substance, the organelles, the cell's internal substructure, and various cytoplasmic inclusion.
So, nucleus is a membrane-bound organelle that contains the DNA of the cell. So, this organelle is extremely important because DNA is the genetic material of the cell. So, it contains all of the instructions for how to make proteins for the cell and control cell functions. So, the plant cell nucleus is composed of 2 main structural parts, which are namely the nucleoplasm and the nuclear envelope. So, most of the nuclear material consists of chromatin, which is the unstructured form of the cell's DNA that will organize to form chromosomes during mitosis or cell division. Also, inside the nucleus of the cell is the nucleus. So, the nucleus is a membraneless organelle within the nucleus that manufactures ribosomes, and these ribosomes is the cell's protein-producing structures. So, through the microscope, the nucleus looks like a large dark spot within the nucleus. So, the nucleus is composed of RNA and proteins, which form around specific chromosomal regions. It is one of the main components of the nucleus. Rough endoplasmic reticulum, or the rough ER, is named for its rough appearance. It is due to the ribosomes attached to its outer surface or the cytoplasmic surface. Rough ER lies immediately adjacent to the cell nucleus, and its membrane is continuous with the outer membrane of the nuclear envelope. It is composed of membranes that are folded into one another to provide maximum surface area for the cell to use. So, the membranes that make up the rough endoplasmic reticulum are composed of lipids, just like the membrane that surrounds the entire cell itself. So the endoplasmic reticulum can either be smooth or rough, and in general, its function is to produce proteins for the rest of the cell to function. The rough endoplasmic reticulum has on its ribosomes, which are small, round organelles whose function is to make those proteins.
The smooth endoplasmic reticulum is also known as the smooth ER. So this is an organelle that can be found both in animal cell and plant cell. So this organelle is the subunit within a cell which has a specialized function. So the main function of the smooth ER is to make cellular products like the hormones and lipids. When we say hormones, these are the chemicals that coordinate different functions in our body by carrying messages through our blood to our organs, skins, even tissues and other muscles, and these signals will indicate what to do and when to do it. However, the lipids are any of the various organic compounds which are insoluble to water, such as the fats, the waxes, and the oils, and others which function as energy storage molecules and chemical messenger. So another function of the smooth ER is through the metabolic processes, such as synthesizing the lipids or the phospholipid. Ribosome have numerous functions which involves in the receiving of information from the cell nucleus and construction materials from the cytoplasm. So when we say construction materials, it involves the water, the salts, and the proteins. Another function of ribosome is that it translates information encoded from the messenger ribonucleic acid or the mRNA. It also links together the specific amino acids to form polypeptides. So when we say polypeptides, this is a longer chain of amino acids composing of 51 or more linked amino acids. And they will export this from the cytoplasm. So without ribosomes, the cell will eventually die because they will no taking part of the protein synthesis. There will be no production of protein and walang magre-repair ng mga cellular damages, walang magme-maintain ng cellular structure, at wala din magre-create ng mga hormones. That is why the cell will eventually die. Golgi apparatus. The Golgi apparatus function is to process and package the proteins that have exited the rough endoplasmic reticulum or the rough ER, which is to be further transported inside and or outside the cell. Another function of the Golgi apparatus or the Golgi body is that it serves as a site for the synthesis of complex polysaccharides. So when we say complex polysaccharides, for example, is that it consists of hundreds or even thousands of monosaccharides, including the glycogen, the starch, the cellulose, and even the chitin. So without these Golgi apparatus or the Golgi body, the lysosomes would not be generated and the cell will eventually die as well as a result of the buildup of the dead and damaged molecules and organelles. Also, the cell's secretory function would stop.
So, what is chloroplast? Chloroplast is one of the distinct characteristics of plant cells that makes it different to any other cells because it is a type of organelle that can only be found in plants. So, chloroplast allows the plant to make its own food and energy through the process of photosynthesis. As we know, photosynthesis is the process na kung saan ang energy na nagbumula sa araw ay kino-convert ni plants into chemical energy to produce an oxygen that is vital for human being. Did you ever wonder why most of the plants and vegetables are colored green? It is because plants contain the pigment of chlorophyll, and this is the reason why they are color green. And it is also significant for the process of photosynthesis. Meron tayong iba't ibang sizes and shapes ng chloroplast that varies from plant to plant. So we have plate shape in chlorella, cup shape in Chlamydomonas, ribbon shape in Spirogyra, and the last one is star shape in Zygnella. But the most commonly found shapes in plant cells are the spherical or ovoidal shape, which is the chloroplast. Next is the mitochondria. Mitochondria can be found in plant cells, animal cells, and any other form of eukaryotic cells. Let's say I have a phone. And what do phone needs in order for it to function? Yes, that's right. It's battery or power supply. Now, this is exactly the reason what mitochondria do for plant cells. So, as we know, mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, wherein it produces energy for the cells to survive and function. Now, how do plant cells produce energy? It is through the process of cellular respiration, wherein it converts raw nutrient materials into usable energy. This is known as the ATP or adenosine triphosphate, na kung saan si pyruvate from transformed glucose ay nag-combine kay oxygen sa inner part ng mitochondria. Hindi lamang energy ang kayang i-provide ni mitochondria, but it can also perform other services, such as it plays an important role in programmed cell death, na kung saan ang mga cells na nag-act abnormally ay pinapatay nito to prevent this abnormal cell in harming the plant or interfering with its growth and production. And for the last one, we have vacuoles. So vacuoles in animal cells are very small, but in plant cells, vacuoles is one of the largest membrane-bound organelles that takes up most of the space inside the plant cell. It is an important organelle because it stores nutrients and water which a cell can rely for its survival. So, vacuoles can help maintain water balance and can also accumulate number of lipids. For instance, kayang mabuhay ng mga halaman for a couple of days kahit hindi sila nadidiligan because of their vacuoles that stores water for their survival. They also have this turgor pressure that happened in vacuoles which exerts force on the cell wall, where it provides shape to the cell to help it withstand extreme conditions. So that's the last three parts of plant cell. We have chloroplast, mitochondria, and vacuoles.
Plants and animal cells share many similarities since they are both eukaryotes, which means that they have a membrane-bound nucleus. Plant cells are often larger than animal cells. Let's now discuss the similarities between animal cells and plant cells. Both animal and plant cells have membrane-bound organelles. They also have cytoplasm, a cell membrane, a nucleus, mitochondria, rough and smooth endoplasmic reticulum, a Golgi apparatus, and peroxisome. Let's now proceed to the difference between animal cells and plant cells. One of the major differences between the two of them is that plant cells have a rigid cell walls around their plasma membrane. It is composed of cellulose, providing additional stability and protections. As a result, plant cells have fixed, angular shapes, while animal cells are mostly round and irregular. Another important difference between animals and plant cells is how they obtain their energy. Plants are autotrophs, which means that they produce their own food. Meanwhile, animals are heterotrophs, meaning that they must ingest their food. Plants produce sugars through photosynthesis and break down the sugar to produce energy. Animals consume other organisms such as plants to obtain sugar, which they can also break down to produce energy. Another important difference between plant and animal cells is in their vacuoles. Vacuoles in plant cells can occupy up to 90% of cell volume and have a single membrane. One of the rules is simply to fill up space, but they can also have digestive functions similar to lysosome. Animal cells can also have vacuoles, but they are much smaller than the large central vacuoles in plant cells. And there are multiple of them, and they don't take up 90% of the space.
Plants and animal cells both also have cytoskeleton, which features microtubules, intermediate filament, and microfilaments. However, these structures are arranged differently in plant and animal cells. Centrioles are present in all animal cells, but only in lower plant forms such as Comedomonas. Centrioles are microtubule organizing centers, which are structures from which microtubules emerge. Plants don't have centrioles, but instead have many small nucleation sites.